Oh, what's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
Yeah?
You know, we stay in our own training environment so much.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about other training methods.
Yeah, I love it. I love analyzing and thinking about other training methods.
Because what we do is a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
We've definitely stolen things from all types of different gyms, and I think it's important for us to give some cred.
Yeah.
Where it's due.
Yeah, I don't think our clients are wonderful in that they're very protective of us, and anytime they see another facility who's kind of stolen a piece of our name or doing training similar to we're doing, or grabbed something or something that they perceive as our own, which that place may have taken it from us, which is, is lovely. But they're like, can you believe this person's doing that or whatever? And I'm always like, we didn't invent any of this.
No, we've combined a whole bunch of different things that we think are really, that we think other gyms or other people have done really well in the past. And we combined it into our own system, but we don't take credit for any of it.
No, I think we've just arranged the best practices in a way that makes sense for our environment and what people are trying to accomplish, which maybe is a greater accomplishment than I give it credit for, but it's still nothing that we invented from scratch. We've grabbed from what we think are the best pieces of, this, that, and the other thing, and put together a system that works really well for people. But
all right, let's play a game. Well, let's alternate different gyms or training methods, things that we have stolen elements from.
Okay.
And then we can talk about how we've integrated and why we think it's important. All right, first one, yoga.
Yoga. So I think the thing that we've grabbed from yoga is, one, the importance of movement quality. So I think that's a foundational part of yoga, is to make sure that you're moving well, that you are systematically trying to improve your positions, even though I don't know that they would necessarily term it that way, but I think that's kind of what we see it as, or the thing that we've grabbed from it. And then I think the mindfulness that you bring to training, right? Yoga is a very mindful practice. I would think a lot of yoga practitioners or experts would argue that that's kind of one of the key tenets of yoga, is the mindfulness aspect and what it brings to that. So I think those are the two big things. And if I had to add a third, probably the importance of breathing and breath work when it comes to training. Obviously, they're using it in a very different way than we do, but I think they're critical components in both.
It's so important. And I don't think it's what we initially thought of would be the driving force behind the gym, but the longer we're open and the more we're serving people, the more important those things are to our system. Right. The way you're doing things and the way your movement quality is, and your attention to the way that you're moving, breathing, executing, is so much more important as a base than how much you're exerting, how much you're lifting.
Right.
Nothing, all the effort level, the energy output, the weight that you're putting on the bar, all of those things require the pretense of really good movement quality. Mm-hmm. And if you're not getting that movement quality, we would be irresponsible to load you up or to push you to high levels of exertion.
Yeah, I always tell people you have to optimize the technique before you can maximize the effect.
Yep,
and I think
it has to happen first. And with anybody new, that's what I tell them. I'm just start with movement. Yeah. Start with positions. Don't worry about the weight. Don't worry about the speed. You do not have to come in and kill it from the jump. You need to know how you're moving and learn how to be aware of the way that you're moving through space.
Right.
Soul cycle. All right. So definitely and this was a really big deal for me because I'm an emotional guy.
Right.
And what Soul Cycle did that was so great is they created a spiritual experience in a workout.
Yeah.
People would, they'd walk out of there crying. It was like they had religious epiphanies every session. So for me, I don't know how much you remember this, but when we first opened the gym, I had special playlists to elicit those sort of responses when people would have a thaw. We had a whole thaw playlist that was absolutely inspired by what was happening at Soul Cycle, so that people walked out of the gym with this profound spiritual effect, and I think we still see it. I mean, we have multiple people cry the other day. Yeah. And we just talked about this yesterday, right? In the gym, you will see people like start crying, while they're working out, and not just while they're working out, but while they're like going really hard, they'll have a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And I think you see this, Soul Cycle does this probably better than anyone to create an environment and set the stage for people to let go, just let it out, let your movement take over, let go of your ego for a second. And those things that you hold, that you hold in, to just let them out, man.
Yeah, I think I use training obviously as a way of getting in touch with my physicality, my body, but I also think I really utilize it as a way of getting in touch with who I am as a person. It's just a good tool for me for that, and I think Soul Cycle does a very good job of tapping into that part of it, of like, who are you? How do you feel? How can you take this experience and enhance who you are as a person? I think that's like a big part of their philosophy that I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Third, CrossFit.
Okay. CrossFit. If we get compared to anything, we probably get compared to CrossFit more than anything else. And I think that's, for a few probably pretty good reasons. One is I think, CrossFit really made the barbell sexy again, using the barbell as a tool. And as the primary driver of strength and conditioning, and I think that's very in line with what it is that we do. I think we utilize the barbell quite a bit. I think we see the value of it. They certainly do as well. So I think that's a big part of it. I would say, secondly, the ability to train hard, or the necessity of training hard. I think it wasn't that long ago that everyone was looking kind of for the shortest road to fitness, the 8-minute abs, the how do I do this with as little effort as possible, how I'm reading a newspaper on a magazine in between, reading a newspaper on a machine in between sets, because I'm trying to do as little as possible. And I think they flipped it, and it's like, no, training has to be challenging to really be effective. And I think they put that out in their culture, and I think that caught on. Maybe more than any other modality. And then I would say the number one thing that we certainly took from them that I find to be their greatest thing is their ability to create a community. The community of like-minded people training together, having good experiences that a lot of time bleed out of the four walls of those gyms, and really unite people together. I think they've done well. I think we try to do that in a big way. I think it's a huge part of who we are. And I think that they've nailed that on a scale that is kind of really admirable.
Yeah. And I think the hard part and the community are actually like very closely connected, because I think you can see like Soul Cycle people are having these experiences. They don't necessarily have as strong a bond to each other individually, but when you train really hard together, when you're pushing the limits of what you can tolerate discomfort wise, and you're doing it with other people, there's a natural bond that happens with those individual other people. And I think when you see someone who's experiencing discomfort at a very high level, and you can see them pushing through it or tolerating it, there's part of you that kind of sees who they are as people. And when we see that, we can trust them. We know how they're going to operate under pressure, under discomfort, under challenge. And you see their real humanity, and you see their fight. It's real, it's authentic, it's very hard to fake. And when you're seeing the real elements of other people, you feel that connection with them.
Yeah, extreme fatigue will bring your walls down for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mile High Run Club.
Mile High. Well, I mean, to be honest, we opened a whole gym with the intent to like do a better version of what they were doing, or at least do maybe not a better version, but our version of what they were doing. And we weren't really able to do it. To be totally honest, like I don't think that we are able to do exactly what Mile High Run Club does on a very on a very competitive way.
Yep.
Like what they're doing there is getting you running volume in an environment and in a place with structure. So, I mean, if there's anything that we're taking that might carry over, is like you go in, and a lot of times you go into a Mile High. It's very different than jumping on a treadmill at an Equinox. You are immediately given structure and direction and performance goals, and basically you're being told what to do without having to make any of the decisions on your own. So I would say like one thing that we do very well is when you come in, the whole session is directed. I mean, it's personalized because we have groups of 4 rather than maybe groups of 50. But when you come in, you don't have to think. You come right in. The clock is going to start for the beginning of your session right on time. And you're not going to have to think about what you need to do. And the entire hour is going to be directed of what you should be working on, how you should be doing it, what level you should be working at. And ultimately, it's a way to guide that you get the proper amount of like training and experience. I don't know, what do you see anything in Mile High that I'm not seeing?
Yeah, I think I see 2 things, which is one, the importance of specificity. I think, they have kind of honed down that you will get good at what you train at, and they really train basically one thing. I mean, I think we do it with a larger variety of exercises and implements and ideas, but, specificity is probably the number one scientific principle of training, and I think they nail it exactly.
They probably do it, as well as, if not better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they pretty much do one thing. And then the other thing I would say is, and this is from my perspective, which I think is kind of unique, especially to our training staff, is they take a little bit of the scariness away from running, which I think is a thing that a lot of people are fearful of, as far as maybe, some people are obviously afraid of like squatting with a barbell or things like that, where they think is injurious. But I think the feeling of running is pretty terrifying to people, and they make it scalable in a way where I think they take that away. And I think that's good. And I think that's something that we've borrowed from them as well. It's why we have 4 pieces of every piece of equipment we have, is that we can individualize it for the person based on what their abilities are. And I think the way they set up their training zones, allows an inexperienced runner like me to run next to somebody who's maybe a talented runner, and we're both training together and training hard and doing it together, and it still works.
Awesome. I mean, I can you think of any other modalities that when we were putting the whole system together, when we were doing the gym, that we took direct influence from?
I mean, I think our biggest,
as a business, like I would say that I definitely had influence from the way I trained in my strength and conditioning background playing football, but that wasn't really like a business or a gym that you could join. That was just kind of like a style that you would train athletes within, which we definitely have influence from. But.
Right. I would say like, when you asked the question, that was the first thing that popped into my mind, was like the athletic based training model. And I tell people all the time, like that is the model that we basically follow as far as our programming, but rather than get you ready for a specific sport, we're getting you ready for general fitness qualities, what most people outside of athletics are training for.
But as far as a system and a program, we followed the way that those systems and programs are run for sport performance. And then we just don't have a specific sport. So we've kind of chosen the sort of the modalities, movement qualities, and energy systems that are most useful for people of any age, type, background, anybody with a body. And we kind of like made our choices on the most comprehensive and useful movements and qualities that were important for people. And we place those within the programming and progression and style of training of collegiate, Olympic, and professional level strength and conditioning.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think we've grabbed that structure. I think even from like our like kind of phasic training structure, and how the training phases line up, even our progressions from week over week, all that borrows from like the principles of exercise science and the athletic training model. And I think, your experience as a collegiate athlete, I think my educational background, with the certified strength and conditioning specialty, I think all influence that. And I think that's the real, that along with certain mentors I think we had are probably like the real basis of like the system itself.
I love it, man. All right. Until next time, I'm Kyle Fields.
I'm Dan Trink.
We do what works.
And we take this seriously.